let me explain something to you. You on probation, right? You just approached me, threatening me. Your words was, we step on shit, okay? You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we, so that's in cohorts, I mean gang. You on probation. Then you had a fellow with you that was possessing a gun. You are not supposed to be around with people that had guns. The federal authorities, because you made a threat while possessing a gun.
That nigga's no gun. Bitch ass nigga. Send whole ass nigga to approach me now, catch him.
As of March 28th, 2026, literally last night, Charleston White, the same man who's been calling Young Thug a snitch, a fed, and a coward, has now filed a report on him. Yes, you heard that right. He went on Instagram Live and said, "I'm contacting your probation officer. You're going to jail." Let that sink in. The man who built his entire internet persona by attacking snitches just snitched on camera with zero shame. And here's the crazy part. Because what allegedly happened at a party in Miami last night, Young Thug could now be facing up to 20 years behind bars. Not 5, not 10, but 20 years, because of somebody probably didn't even want to be around. This situation is one of the most ironic, twisted, and layered moments hip-hop has seen in a long time. So let's break it all down. To really understand how serious this is, we need to go back to October 31st, 2024, Halloween night. While everyone else was out celebrating, Jeffrey Lamar Williams, better known as Young Thug, was walking out of Georgia jail after spending over 2.5 years locked up in one of the most complex RICO cases in U.S. history, the YSL case. This was Georgia's longest-running trial ever. A total of 28 people were indicted, facing charges ranging from gang activity to murder, drugs, and firearms. Now, Young Thug didn't walk free without conditions. He accepted a plea deal. He was sentenced to 40 years in total. The first 5 years were commuted to time served, followed by 15 years of probation. But here's the part most people don't understand. There's a 20-year prison sentence sitting behind that probation like a loaded gun. If he completes all 15 years of probation successfully, those 20 years disappear. But if he violates even one condition, he goes back to prison and serves every single one of those 20 years. That's the reality he's living with every single day. And the conditions of his release? They are extremely strict. He cannot associate with known gang members or co-defendants, except for 2 individuals. He is banned from the Atlanta metro area for 10 years. He must give anti-gang presentations, and he cannot promote gang activity in any form. This man is walking on eggshells. Every move, every post, every place he goes, all matters. One wrong step, and that 20-year sentence becomes real. And that's exactly why what happened last night is such a big deal. Because when you understand how tight those restrictions are, you start to realize just how dangerous the situation really is. And here's where things get even more serious. Fire. Last night wasn't even the first time someone tried to send Young Thug back to prison. No, we need to go back to April 2025, because prosecutors had already tested that sword once before. On April 2nd, 2025, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a 14-page motion claiming that Young Thug had violated probation through his social media activity. Specifically, they pointed to a now-deleted post targeting a DA investigator named Marissa Viverito, where Thug allegedly called her the biggest liar in the DA's office. Prosecutors took it seriously. They argued that the post went viral, led to her personal address being exposed online, and even triggered threats, reportedly including ones aimed at Fonnie Willis herself. The motion described Thug's presence in the community as a clear and present danger and pushed for her probation to be revoked immediately. But Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, responded quickly. He called the motion baseless and argued that reposting an image or calling someone untruthful does not amount to probation violation. Young Thug himself also spoke out on X Twitter, saying, "I don't make threats to people. I'm a good person. I would never condone anyone threatening anyone. I'm all about peace and love." And in the end, the judge agreed. Judge Whitaker ruled that while Thug's social media behavior was imprudent, It did not justify sending him back to jail. He dodged it. Barely, but he dodged it. But here's the real issue. That moment should have been a warning. A clear signal to stay low, stay quiet, and stay out of drama. Because every situation is amplified now. Every confrontation, every argument, every room he walks into, it all carries more weight than it would for a normal person. Because he's not a normal person anymore. He's a man with 20 years hanging over his head. And the streets? They don't care about probation rules. There's always someone trying to prove something. And this time, that someone was Charleston White. Now, if you don't know Charleston White, you need the full picture, because you can't understand how dangerous last night was without understanding who he is. Charleston White was born on May 17, 1977, in Fort Worth, Texas. His story is complicated. At just 14 years old, he was involved in a robbery that led to a murder case, and he spent time in juvenile detention. After serving his time, he came out and genuinely tried to turn his life around. He studied criminal justice at Texas Wesleyan University and co-founded a youth outreach organization called Helping Young People Excel Hype. On paper, it looks like a redemption story. But then social media happened, and Charleston White realized something. Controversy pays. He built his entire online brand around saying the most outrageous, inflammatory things about hip-hop culture, street life, and rap artists, and watching the attention roll in. Today, he has hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms. But what makes him especially dangerous in situations like this is that he has no problem involving law enforcement when it benefits him. Let's look at his track record. He's publicly filed police reports after conflicts. He's contacted Child Protective Services on other artists. He's threatened legal action against multiple figures in hip-hop. He's been involved in public disputes with names like Soulja Boy and T.I. He's even had his own legal issues, including an arrest related to assault charges in Texas. This is someone who has been in and out of controversy, courtrooms, and headlines for years. But the most important part is history in this story is his obsession with calling Young Thug a snitch. When the YSL case started unfolding, an alleged audio clip surfaced involving Thug during a police interrogation. Charleston White went all in. He flooded social media with videos, claiming he had predicted it, repeatedly labeling Thug and his circle in negative ways, and pushing that narrative to his audience for months, if not years. Every time Young Thug's name came up, Charleston White was right there, adding fuel to fire. And here's the irony. The entire time he was calling someone else a snitch. He himself has never hesitated to involve authorities when it suits him. Police reports, CPS calls, legal threats. The pattern was always there. The difference is, now, the whole world just saw it play out in real time. Now, let's get to the main event. March 28th, 2026. Miami, Florida. A major event hosted by Drewski, a huge name in entertainment. Fresh off the success of his hit show, Could Have Been Love. His events draw everyone. Rappers, influencers, athletes, celebrities. If you're somebody in the culture, you show up, and somehow in that room, two people who should have never been near each other came face to face. Young Thug and Charleston White. We don't have every detail yet. We don't have Young Thug's side, and that matters. But here's what we do know. Shortly after the event, Charleston White went straight to Instagram and posted a video. In it, he's seen yelling toward Thug and his entourage from a distance. And in the caption, he told his version of the story. He accused Young Thug and his team of threatening his life and attempting to attack him. He even claimed that Thug looked him in the eyes and said, "You're going to lose your life right here. You're going to lose your life right here." Those are not the words of someone who understands the legal situation he's in. Because here's the reality. This alleged incident didn't happen in a nightclub parking lot. It didn't happen at a private venue. It reportedly happened on Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, property in Miami. That means federal jurisdiction. And Charleston White immediately recognized what that could mean, especially for someone like Young Thug, who is currently on probation with 20 years hanging over his head. Charleston White didn't hesitate. He said he plans to press charges for alleged terroristic threats. Then he posted another Instagram video. Going even further, he directly called out Young Thug's probation status, claimed that someone in Thug's entourage had a weapon during the confrontation, and announced that he would be filing a restraining order. And then came the moment that shocked the internet. Charleston White publicly stated that he would be contacting Young Thug's probation officer. His exact words? "You're going to jail." Let that sink in. The same man who spent years calling Young Thug a snitch is now the one making the report. Now, let's slow this down and really analyze what's happening, because this is bigger than social media drama. This is serious legal consequences, and we need to break it down step by step. 1. Probation terms. Young Thug is currently sitting on a backloaded 20-year sentence. That sentence activates the moment he violates probation. So any credible allegation of a new crime and terroristic threats do qualify can send him straight back to prison. Not for a year, not for 2 years, for 20 years. 2. The location. This incident allegedly took place on FAA federal property. That matters a lot, because while his probation is being supervised in Georgia, a situation on federal property introduces an entirely new level of legal exposure. This is no longer just a local issue. It can quickly turn into a federal matter, and federal cases carry much heavier consequences. 3. The prior warning. Remember, back in April 2025, prosecutors already tried to revoke his probation over a social media post. The judge denied it, but issued a clear warning. Be more careful. Now there's a second allegation. And this time, it's not just a post. It involves an alleged verbal death threat, claims of an armed entourage, multiple witnesses, video footage, and a potential formal police report. That hits very differently. 4. The timing. Charleston White said he would file the report on Monday, March 30th. That means either the report has already been filed or it's about to be filed within hours. And once that happens, it becomes official. It goes to the probation officer. The probation officer escalates it to the judge. And now the judge, who already gave one warning, has to decide whether to move forward with a full probation revocation hearing. 5. The burden of proof. This is the part most people don't understand. A probation hearing is not a criminal trial. There is no need to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Instead, the standard is a preponderance of the evidence. That simply means more likely than not. That's a much lower bar. And when you have someone on camera making accusations video of the incident, a formal report filed with authorities, that bar could be met very quickly, before the defense even has time to respond. This is a chain of events that is already in motion, and at the end of that chain, 20 years in prison. Now let's talk about how the culture is reacting to all of this. Because the moment Charleston White posted that video saying he was going to report Young Thug to a probation officer, the internet exploded. And honestly, it was inevitable. The irony was impossible to ignore. Here's a man who built his entire online identity around the idea that snitching is the worst thing you can do in street culture. He spent years calling Young Thug a snitch. He made it a core part of his content. Every update in the YSL case, he used it to push that narrative even harder. And now, he's on Instagram, live on camera, telling the world that he is going to the authorities, doing the exact thing he condemned, openly, proudly, and the internet caught it immediately. Now, to be fair, some people actually defended him. Their argument? If someone threatens your life and there are weapons involved, you have every right to protect yourself through legal channels. And on the surface, that's not a crazy take. Self-preservation is real. Nobody expects someone to just walk away from a serious threat without doing anything. But here's where things start to fall apart. Charleston White didn't just say he was scared. He went much further than that. He didn't frame it as protection. He framed it as punishment. He specifically highlighted Young Thug's probation status and said, "You're going to jail." That's not fear. That's strategy. That's someone fully aware of the power they now hold and choosing to use it, not just to protect themselves, but to potentially trigger a 20-year prison sentence. That's a calculated move. And when someone who spent years branding themselves as anti-snitch suddenly does this, the culture notices a difference. This isn't self-defense anymore. This feels like a power play. Now look at the deeper layer, the imbalance in this situation. Charleston White walks away from this free, no matter what happens next. He's not on probation. He doesn't have a suspended sentence. He doesn't have restrictions controlling his every move. He can go where he wants, say what he wants, and engage with whoever he wants. At worst, he might deal with a civil issue. But Young Thug, every room he enters is a risk. Every interaction is a potential setup, because now people know the formula. Get close to him, provoke a reaction, record it, report it, and just like that, those 20 years could become real. And that's the dangerous part, because this situation is bigger than just these two individuals. This exposes something deeper in hip-hop culture, the weaponization of street codes in the social media era. The no-snitch code was never meant for situations like this. It wasn't designed to protect someone accused of making serious threats at a public event. It wasn't meant to shield celebrities from accountability. Originally, it came from a very specific place. Communities protecting themselves from a system that historically overpoliced and underprotected them. That context matters. But when that code gets turned into content, a brand, a way to gain attention online, it loses its original meaning. It becomes a tool, something people pick up when it benefits them, and drop when it doesn't. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. For years, Charleston White used that code as a weapon against Young Thug. Now, that same system he criticized might be the very thing that brings Young Thug down. And if we're being completely real, there are also decisions here that can't be ignored. Nobody forced Young Thug into that situation. Nobody made him engage. And if those alleged words were actually said, you're going to lose your life right here. That's a massive mistake for someone in his position. When you have 20 years hanging over your head, you can't afford moments like that. You have to move differently. You have to avoid conflict completely. You have to be disciplined, even when provoked, because at this level, being right doesn't matter. Being careful does. The people around you should be protecting you from situations like this. If anything, the moment Charleston White entered that space, that should have been the exit. Immediately, no conversation, no confrontation, just leave. Because this is what freedom looks like under these conditions. It's fragile, it's conditional, and it can disappear overnight. So where does this go from here? As of now, Charleston White says he's filing that report Monday morning. Young Thug hasn't responded publicly yet, but his legal team, led by Brian Steele, is going to have to move fast. Because this situation is very different from the last one. This time there's a witness video footage, a specific location, federal property, a direct alleged statement, and a formal report being filed. Plus, claims an armed entourage. And let's not forget, the judge already gave him a warning last time. That warning is now part of the official record. If this turns into a probation hearing, it's a completely different fight. Because now, the prosecution has more context, more evidence, more pressure. And at the center of it all, 20 years. Not because of the original YSL case, but because of one night, one moment, one situation that may have gone too far. This story is far from over, not even close. So let me ask you, do you think Charleston White was wrong for reporting this? Or should Young Thug's team have prevented it from ever getting to this point? Drop your thoughts and stay locked in, because the moment there's an update, we're breaking it all down. Fire